Yeah, this is an old atheist canard when they raise the issue about question begging.
Okay.
It's also directly related to the charge of circular reasoning. When he talks about a non-question begging argument, so then what would be the grounds of the argument of defending the premises? Would it be an see, this is why it's important that he should be here. So if he says a non-question begging argument, what he means is that none of the premises establish themselves. Well, how would you be able to justify any one of the premises in a syllogistic argument without at least establishing either one of the premises themselves or what ultimately justifies the premise? So when he wants to eliminate, quote, all question begging arguments, okay, it's a kind of a loaded question. That it's question begging when we start with the revelation of God. Well, is it question begging when they use arguments that start without the revelation of God? How do they ultimately justify any premise? What would ultimately ground any premise that they would have? And how would they do that without so-called question begging? See, they really don't care about violating the principle of question begging. They just want to use it as a sophist technique to try to attack biblical presuppositionalism, because we start with the self-disclosure of God himself. So the reason why this is such a fallacy is because the only way that we can know of God's existence is if God takes the initiative in creation to reveal himself, right? And so we have to appeal to the existence of God by virtue of his revelation. And then they'll say, well, how do you know that revelation is correct? And we have to, again, appeal to God's revelation, which they will call question begging. Now, the reason why it's not fallacious is because it would be the only ground. And what they're saying is that when God speaks authoritatively as God, right, that they as puny human beings are accusing God of question begging. This is how ridiculous that position is, right? They're taking an ordinary principle that applies to certain situations, but it does not apply to all situations, right? Because if it's a universal principle for everything, then they've destroyed their own ability to reason and argue for anything. Because how then are they going to establish any premise? Okay? What's going to be their final court of appeal? What's going to be their ultimate truth from which any premise they put in an argument? So when they talk about it being question begging, this is just a canard.
All right, next question from Veta Boy.
As asserting that God is your what did you say? Just to get it clear.
Well, I'm saying outside of the Christian worldview, you couldn't even defend the statement, the sky is blue.
I can. I absolutely.
Now, before we can discuss God or anything else, you have to understand that there are certain rules of thinking.